The Utah Mammoth failed a critical early test against Toronto, putting pressure on the rest of their road trip.
You are Locked On Mammoth, your daily podcast on the Utah Mammoth, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in once again to Locked On Mammoth. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every single day when it comes to the Utah Mammoth hockey team. I'm veteran NHL voice and former NHL Network correspondent Tom Callahan. Thanks for joining me. Robin's got the night off. I'm going to break down this loss against Toronto, and it's a critical loss. It was a big test for this Mammoth team to see where they're at, but there's a couple of reasons why this is an important loss. Number one, now they've lost 3 out of 4. And while I thought 2-2 on the road trip was reasonable, it does put a lot of pressure on the rest of this road trip. And we're going to talk about why, especially in a stretch right now where they're playing 8 of 9 away from home. It casts a bit of a shadow now over that early season start. We're asking ourselves, was that an illusion? Or was that the real Mammoth? And Toronto was just a better team. They're not there yet. These are a lot of questions. We're going to get into those questions and a whole lot more. You can start throwing your thoughts down there in the comments as well. You can always post us up on social media. But before we do anything else, I have to tell you that tonight's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. 5-3 is the final score here tonight. The Mammoth lose to Toronto. Now, a couple of things that led to this final score, if you didn't see the entire game, important points. Number one, Toronto got an empty netter. It was actually a close game for most of the game. And I didn't like the entire 60-minute effort, but there were things I did like. And I know Andre Tournier and I are going to disagree on this because we always do. He's going to say, well, we did a million things well and we just lost. And I don't look at it that way. I just have a different point of view on these things. And so that's why I imagine you listen to the show, because you listen to what the team has to say, and then you listen to folks who aren't the team and don't have to always sugarcoat things or try to put a bow on it to make it look better. In the old days, we used to call it polishing the turd. And I'm not here to polish the turd for the Utah Mammoth. So we're here to try to be honest about what we see. So again, the empty net goal for Toronto made it look a little worse than it was, but then a late kind of garbage time goal for Dylan Guenther. Beautiful goal. Awesome goal for Dylan Guenther, and probably takes a little bit of weight off his shoulders. But at that point, it was 5-2. I mean, the goals was 7 seconds left. So a minute and 7 seconds left. Didn't really do anything for them as far as being able to push them back into the game. The odd thing was it happened after they put Vanacek back in net. So they gave up an empty netter to Nyes. Then they put Vanacek back in the net, and that's when Guenther springs free. Scores a really nice goal. But 5-3 is the final. Okay, let's talk about the good things first. I thought the first period was good. They held Toronto to 5 shots. Coming in off of back-to-back, energy is always going to be a question, and going to back-to-backs on the road, you know the home team is going to come out with the energy and the enthusiasm. They're going to try to pin your ears back early. And I thought Utah did a nice job of weathering the storm. They did get the only goal of the period. Michael Carcone. We'll talk about Matias Michelli, former Utah hockey lover. Carcone scores his third from Krause. Really nice goal. Great setup. Great forecheck by Lawson Krause. And we've talked about that line in recent episodes, how we've really felt they've been doing good things. And they do again here in that particular shift. I actually thought the bottom 6 was good tonight. And they played pretty well. They made a couple of mistakes. They didn't always generate, but I felt like they always had a chance to try to generate. There was clearly a level of frustration for these guys as they were working hard, but not maybe getting the results or the rewards that you thought you would get for working as hard as they were working. So that was kind of an interesting thing to have to deal with for them. And I think Toronto is one of those teams where they're very good. And especially once they get a lead, they're very good at locking it down. So they come back in the second period, grab a 2-1 lead. Utah ties it up. Sergachev with a goal that quite honestly Stolarz wants back. Sergachev with a wrist shot from the blue line that goes 5-hole, and I'm pretty sure Stolarz saw it the whole way. It just went in. Bad goal to give up. but it ties it up for Utah, gives them a little bit of momentum. And that's another reason why it's another one of those goals in the game that I think matters to talk about, because normally I don't think that puck goes in. And it's a 2-1 game and they're still trailing it going into the third. But in the third, this is where the difference happens. So if you want, you can say, well, Tom, 6 straight period of hockey in 2 days against a really good team. They're tired. They don't have the legs. They don't have the gas. I think we were seeing that earlier, though, in the second period. And we were seeing Toronto was just better. And in the third, Toronto was smart. They made Utah go 200 feet every time. If that puck got across center and Toronto didn't have a way to make a play on the puck, it went in behind the goal line. And then they would either execute a line change or go forecheck in after it. But they made sure every single time Utah had to track back 200 feet to go get that puck and rush it all the way up the ice. And that is just hard to continuously have to do. Toronto owned center ice, and they were able to shut Utah down. The Mammoth really did not have a good time on puck retrievals. They really didn't win the battles they needed to win, maintaining pressure in the zone. Toronto was just where they needed to be. That's your benchmark, okay? Utah, if you want to win a Stanley Cup, you have to approach and then be better than Toronto and their disciplined style of game, especially in that third period. Go watch that third period. It's a masterclass on how to shut a team down and win a hockey game. And I think that was just a fantastic job by the Toronto Maple Leafs. So looking at it from the Mammoth point of view, do you get a little concerned? And again, I said they were going to lose to Toronto anyway, but now it's 3 of 4. And you do have a few days off. You stay up in Canada. They will then play on the weekend back-to-back again, Montreal and Ottawa. Montreal is the best team in the East right now. So that's not going to be an easy one. And then, of course, they have Ottawa, who have shown that they're a contender in recent years. And this year, again, they're kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team. Not sure who you're getting one night to the next. But I think either way, critical games. And they could really give Montreal a run for the money if they play their A game. But I will say this, watching the pickup line tonight, even though Guenther does get the late goal, and again, I feel like maybe he'd been feeling a little bit of stress, but remember last year how streaky he was? Maybe this is the start of another streak. They really didn't quite seem to have the energy and ability to generate that they did the night before in Buffalo. Maybe because they're young and they're still trying to figure out how to manage their body and how to not, expend all that energy at once. Maybe that had something to do with it. Also, the Cooley Schmaltz line, Keller Schmaltz line, I really felt like we were going to see more out of them. And that one was also a rough one. I think they, at one point, could have drawn a couple of penalties that weren't called. I thought, for the most part, the refs let them play, which is not the worst thing, but also kind of made it tough. Utah just did not make themselves enough space. And yeah, I mean, you see guys taking a beating at the front of the net, especially for Utah. And by the way, that's where I thought a couple of the penalties could have been called, especially in the third period. It just was not happening for them tonight. The Haytons and McBains of the world were taking their pounding with no reward. And Toronto just was not giving them that time and space. They'll let you hang out in the perimeter all night long. And the Mammoth could not find a way to get the pucks to the high danger chance areas frequently enough. And at the end of the game, I mean, 8 shots a period is 24 for the game for the Mammoth. They do score 3 goals. So that's not the worst. You're shooting 12, 14% there, but again, against Toronto, a team with bigger offensive weapons, and then they had 19 shots, but they just found ways to score goals. And I will say this, I'm not really, I don't feel that was on Vitek Vanacek at all. I don't think he played poorly. I think he made some big saves. Stolarz made some big saves, but they weren't called on to be crazy good, either one of them. I just thought that Utah showed that they are not on the same level yet with Toronto. And Toronto is the level that Utah wants and needs to get to if they're going to contend for a Stanley Cup. So, all right, more to talk about coming out of this game against Toronto. We're going to look ahead to Montreal and Ottawa as well. Robin's got the night off, so it's me here with you. Hey, if you want to do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. If you like what you hear, I know a lot of you who sample the show, and we're getting a lot of new folks coming in right now. Everydayers, we love you guys. Thank you so much for telling folks about the show and for bringing them on over. But if you're new, go ahead and subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. We're available everywhere to get your podcasts and, of course, on YouTube as well. So, all right, let's get into more of this here in just a moment. And today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Hey, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of that Jazz game, or maybe you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who'll score next to the fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine all those bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when the Jazz are making that late push. Right now, FanDuel's giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Tom Callahan here with you. Robin Leano is off tonight, so we're working our way through this post-game show. 1-1 to start this road swing, and as I mentioned, 8 of 9 right now for the Mammoth. The first 4-game road swing, they did pretty well. Came out of it with a 3-1 mark, but the problem is they lose that game to Edmonton to end the road trip. So there goes your win streak. Then you come home, lose to Tampa Bay on home ice, and it's the only home game you've got for another week. Now you're out for 4 in a row. Buffalo overtime. I don't care about the overtime point to Buffalo because it doesn't matter. They're in the East. You got your 2. That's what you wanted. Toronto, I would have loved to have seen them get an overtime point. Robin actually thought they had a chance to win this one, but honestly, Toronto just outclassed them. And I thought Toronto looked very good tonight. And again, don't miss the discipline and go back and look at that third period. The discipline in that third period made a huge, huge difference. And to me, that's the separating line. So now we're looking ahead. Now we're looking ahead to the Montreal and Ottawa portion of this trip. And right now, Montreal leading the East, most goals in the East. Now they're giving up a decent amount of goals, and they're not impervious to losing, but really it's an impressive job what the Canadians have done so far this season, because they're a team that is quote unquote ahead of schedule. And that is probably the best thing you can say for the Montreal Canadiens is that they are ahead of schedule, 9-3-1. They're a younger team, but they're getting excellent goaltending, and they've got 2 excellent goaltenders. Depends which one we're going to see here, but they're both very good. And the important thing is they have won games, tight games, past regulation. Here's the wild thing. All 9 of those wins are regulation and or overtime wins, but only 4 of them are regulation. That means Montreal has won 5 games in OT. So the possibility of Utah getting a point, actually not too bad. The possibility of them getting a second point, not too good. So that's why I think we have to look ahead at that and say, you know what? With some time off, getting the ability to rest, Utah can maybe really try to bring their A game into this matchup against Montreal. And as I said, Ottawa's a little further down the standings. They're a game over 500 right now, and by then that may change. The Senators are a team that has been inconsistent this year. They've looked really good at times. They've looked not so good at times, but Montreal is the challenge. And I look at that Canadians team. There's a lot to like about what they do. They're 4-1-1 at home. They're a very, very good team. And they're deep. They can roll all their lines. They have good defense. They get good goaltending. There's not a lot of holes in their game. This is why I think, so Toronto is the same kind of thing. It's why I think it was such a very good test for the Utah Mammoth to go against this Toronto team. They failed the test. You get another shot at it. If you want to look at it that way, this is your extra credit, your make good, your do-over against Montreal. Because if you lose to Montreal and you lose in regulation, now you're looking at 4 out of 5. And that starts to feel a little bit like a skid. And it's going to depend how the team comes through that game. As I said, top six, I didn't think was as on it tonight as they needed to be. I feel like Matthias Michelli had a little bit of a bone to pick with his old team. He came to play, although, hey, he's on Austin Matthews' line. I mean, pass the guy the puck. And he did, and he picked up a primary assist on an Austin Matthews goal tonight. And Toronto's been getting it going without even really getting it going. So that's a dangerous team with a lot of talent, even without Marner. And maybe it was a little bit of addition by subtraction for Toronto. Who knows? Maybe they'll get this new core together and get it going for themselves. But that's not Utah's concern. Their concern is to get the core going now. So do we see a lineup change heading into Montreal? Once again, Spicy Tuna has not been on, and I know there's been a lot of criticism for Tuna online. I'm not one of those people. I think he's a dynamic addition to the lineup when he's in it. I think he has a point and a purpose. A lot of people are like, you should never touch the ice again. Get out of my face with that. I could not disagree more with you. And it's a lot more than just what he brings on the ice, but what he brings on the ice is fear and protection and physical play and makes the other team look over their shoulder. And look, I love Yamamoto. I think he's a great little player. I think he's earned his spot. I think him playing regular time is deserved. Same thing with Carcone. I think he's been better this year. He scored tonight in the Toronto game. I think he has earned his time. But let's just understand that it's a different component. It's more of a hustle component with a little bit of speed to it, whereas the hustle component with Spicy Tuna is physical. So, I mean, Kyler Yamamoto's not really going to drop the mitts with a heavyweight on the other team. I'm not saying he wouldn't drop. He probably would. I think all the guys would drop in the right circumstance, but that's the difference. They become a little bit different team. They walk a little taller when he's in the lineup. They play a little more confidently when he is in the lineup. Why? Because they know they can probably get away with some stuff when he's in the lineup. Truth be told, that's just what it is. And tonight, I felt like the Leafs, especially in the third period, there was a moment, and I'm trying to think, I think it was McBain, ran into Stolarz, didn't really run into him. I think got pushed into him. Stolarz flopped, wanted to draw the call. There was no call. And then McBain just absolutely got destroyed for the next 30 seconds in front of the net. Should have been a penalty called there, but there wasn't. But there's no one really there to make Toronto pay for that behavior all game long. There is no reason for them to fear Utah. So to me, that's the thing. I don't know. Give me your thoughts on that. And again, maybe you're one of the people who thinks Tuna doesn't belong in the lineup. Again, I don't agree with you, but let me know what you think down in the comments, or you can always reach out to us on social media as well. So, all right, back to wrap things up here in just a moment on Locked On Mammoth. And tonight's show is brought to you also by Rugiet. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've heard them all before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments, or ED, designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. So there's no awkward waiting rooms. There's no in-person appointments. And if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly and straight to your door. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/lockedonnhl to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/lockedonnhl. And don't forget to use our code LOCKEDONNHL so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. Tom Callahan, Locked On Mammoth. Robin's got the night off, but thanks for joining me. Appreciate you being here. And a tough one against Toronto, now on to Montreal. A critical step. So here's the thing. If you look at this Mammoth schedule, what they have coming up here after they get back home, it gets, well, a little easier. They have Buffalo again on Wednesday, the 12th, for a couple at home, Buffalo and then the Islanders. If you can turn those two into wins, then you have a short California swing against the really hot and difficult Ducks and then the Sharks. So you figure looking at that, okay, you could take maybe 3 out of those 4 to kind of get the ship righted for you, no matter what this road trip turns out to be. But then it is a difficult stretch to end November. You got Vegas, the Rangers, Vegas again, and then Montreal comes to town. And then you end with a couple of games on the road, pardon me, against Dallas and St. Louis. Gonna take a sip of water here. Whew, okay. That is a difficult stretch. It's a difficult schedule. And again, this is a difficult division. So that's why you hear me say sometimes, hey, they got to make hay while the sun shines. You have to beat Ottawa. You have to go at least 500 on this trip. The old hockey axiom goes, if you win at home and you're a 500 team on the road, that puts you in the playoffs. And that is near enough to true that I think it rings out for every single team that's out there. So tonight, Utah, they're 4-1-0 at home. So that's good. Let's keep that going. But 5-3 on the road, I don't want to see them drop to 5-5 by the end of this road trip. I would like to see them at 6-4, or maybe 7-3. That'd be nice. But it's going to take some doing. And Montreal is certainly gettable. But right now, for me, I want to see the Mammoth out there as a 4-line unit, 3D pair, working hard, making things happen. The other thing to keep an eye on, and this to me is going to be key, talking about the pickup line, they are young. They've had success early, and that's great. But now when it dries up a little bit, how do they react? I'm not saying that these guys are rookies. They're not, but they are young players, and they could be prone to frustration. So now this is where either some of the veterans on the team or some of the coaching staff are going to have to take them aside and say, look, if you feel like you're still generating chances, keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry. Things will happen. That's why it was so good to see Guenther score tonight. I think that was an important goal for him. But you don't want them to start squeezing the stick. And I felt like they were in this game a little bit. Yeah, they broke through late, but I really feel like they were squeezing it a little bit, just trying to do too much, trying to go through too many guys, trying to, make like Cooley's OT goal last night was ridiculous. Or Keller, sorry. That goal was ridiculous. But when you can do that in OT because it's 3-on-3, right? You can go through a couple of bodies and make stuff happen. When you're trying to do it 5-on-5, and this is anybody not named Connor McDavid, when you're trying to do that 5-on-5, you're really not going to find the results. And so that's why I want to see those guys remember, hey, we're a 3-man unit out here. Let's not get frustrated. Let's keep trying to put the pucks into those high danger chance areas and work hard, and things will go back and break our way. That is so important for me to see that out of them. So let me know what you think. Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are on this one. And you can reach out on social media. We're at Locked on Mammoth, pretty much everywhere you can find social media these days. I'm on Blue Sky at Tom Talks. I'm also at Callahan on Air. And we appreciate you being here. Thanks for telling your friends. And you know what? Looking forward to talking to you guys about the Everydayer program, which is going to be launching tentatively December 8th. We're going to be talking within the next week or so, once that date is firmed up, about the perks and the benefits of being part of our Everydayer program. So keep an ear out for that one as well. All right, till next time, I'm Tom Callahan saying thanks for being a part of Locked on Mammoth.